what they could do when they outslay their opponents.
Could be very, very easy, but it is worth mentioning as well. Red Reserve coming off a win, FaZe Clan coming off a loss. We'll see how mentally that could have an effect on the game. But map number 1, a Saint Marie du Mont. We're going to kick things off on board with Zuma from FaZe Clan.
And this is an absolutely great map for Red Reserve. 9-200 overall compared to FaZe's 3-5. So once again, statistically, this should favor Red Reserve, but in this type of environment, in this type of scenario, sometimes you can throw stats out the window as we've seen so far throughout the weekend. I
mean, we've seen FaZe go on miraculous runs through the losers bracket, stage 1 playoffs.
Seems like every event.
Yeah, pretty much, right? I mean, well, let's be honest, this is the first event all year they actually won a winners bracket game. So, yeah, it's good that they get a little bit further through the losers bracket, but they find themselves against a very tough opponent in Red Reserve, a team that many people actually had in that grand final here at stage 2 playoffs when they were going through their predictions. But in terms of the first hill so far, FaZe Clan with a fragile lead, 25 to around about 15, but the final 10 seconds of scrap time should go to Red Reserve, so should be even Stevens as we rotate to second.
Okay, so important to note that off the rip, FaZe Clan to have Priesta running an assault rifle and attached with the SMG, so we know that, around like the midway point through stage 2, they actually swapped the roles, so I'm wondering if they're, maybe testing something out, if it's specific to Saint Marie du Mont, but for now, both those guys have kind of swapped roles a little bit.
Definitely brave to test something out in a loser bracket game, but...
Well, they had a lot of success when Priesta was in that flex role, and they've also had success when Attach was in it, so it's nice to have both those play styles to fall back on.
Valid point. In terms of streaks, it was Rated, I believe, who was warming up towards some streaks. He ultimately falls. Now it's basically just down to scraps from Red Reserve, finds one, ultimately drops. It was Attached with the trade, and FaZe fighting from the front of the hill, doing well to at least keep this hardpoint contested for as long as they have.
Yeah, Spawn still in control of Red Reserve. They clear out the remaining FaZe member inside the hardpoint, so this scrap time should go in their favor. With only 20 seconds remaining, I'm surprised the FaZe are actually going to commit 2 members towards the old hardpoint, while Red Reserve, they're going to give it up. They're going to fight 4-on-2 over towards the new hardpoint.
And this is a gunfight, or following gunfights,
3-on-2,
that you almost have to trade out efficiently, right? You need this rotation if you're going to give up that scrap. And Replays is going to have his back against the wall here as a couple of shots go down. He's going to be tagged up pretty heavily. Now it's down to Attach and essentially what is a 1v3. And you're going to see him wisely just put his back against the wall, try and play his life, but Zero sniffs him out and finds the pick.
And these kills are huge for Red Reserve to get. Keep in mind, because FaZe had a member all the way over towards the old hardpoint at Wine, as Red Reserve were getting the kills, the new members for FaZe would pop up over towards the top side of the map. This allows Red Reserve to win the rotation over towards Parking Lot and allows them to get the setup that they currently have.
Rated currently pretty good score, 9-3, looking to find more, not going to happen. Zero, who had a slow start, 3-8, trying to do his best to at least trade out, but it's Priesta putting pressure around the back. And now all of a sudden, you can have a FaZe break into the hill, but a nice little ring around the rosy there from Scraps. Ultimately, isn't going to result in much. Priesta close to streaks, but the nades fall from the sky. Joe and Zero able to break straight back. Red Reserve down, but by no means out.
And Radiant's on top of the rotation as well. Take a look at him towards the top side of the mini-map, looking against my early positioning up ahead over towards the lookout tower. In the meantime, it's going to be Zero with that kill secured. That should also mean the scrap time secured here for Red Reserve, still with the spawns in their favor for this current hardpoint, but it's going to be FaZe with their positioning over towards the lookout tower. Let's see how Rated decides to play this upcoming sequence.
Well, one player right in front of him, that's going to be Priester. Actually tagged up Zuma there as well. Of course, as we get close to the final hill rotation, or going into the second rotation, to say no streaks still available. Zero closest just now. Potential pinch starting to develop, and it was Joe who played that so passively on the top side. He actually loses the gunfight there to Priesta. Very surprising considering how passive he actually was in that situation. You would have loved to see him pick up that kill and then go for the collapse, but so far, so good. Replays is holding this hill down pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a miracle that FaZe have actually been able to hold on to this whole time, because early on in the hardpoint, it was Joe who was extended out to the archway. It was rated over towards Stable, so another situation where Red Reserve, as they're getting kills in transition, they force FaZe to spawn all the way over towards the back ammo side of the map. So FaZe still holding on strong inside the hardpoint while all that was going on. It's Red Reserve. They break in towards the tail end. They're looking to secure the remainder scrap time as we're looking ahead towards a fresh rotation of hardpoints. Both teams now fighting for early positioning over towards the restaurant.
And to be honest, FaZe have done very well in this first half. Just to kind of keep it close, you need some streaks though. If you're going to beat Red Reserve on this map, something has to come. A little bit of extra utility, and it could come now in form of Zuma. He had a great first hill in the first rotation. He's going to get plus 100 there for securing the hill. 425 out of 700. And at this point, you're saying, all right, guys, let me try and juggle the hill from staircase, see if I can pick up a couple of extra kills. The prefire come through. Zuma with a double, but recognizes there's still one more player in the hill. Gives Zuma the capture points, and that's streaks for FaZe.
Make it fully streaked out for Zuma. What a sequence from him on his 6-3, 17-9. This is the exact player you want to heat up for FaZe. If you remember Zuma in his previous series, he was very quiet. He had a tough go at it, but now he's looking to find a rhythm, and he's continuing to put on a show for us.
8 in a row. Go on, go for 9. Why not? The pre-fire isn't going to connect with anything at all, though. Doesn't look like it, but that was the sequence of events FaZe needed. And more importantly, bear in mind, while Zuma's doing all that, his teammates have controlled the spawns for a second. You have the utility. You can use that now to break into third, which if you remember, Red Reserve rotated relatively early in the first rotation of hills.
Yep, absolutely. And if there's ever a situation where FaZe lose their footing towards his upcoming hardpoint, well, now you have the streaks to aid you in that. Now it's going to be replays fighting from the old hardpoint. His teammates still have spawn secured over towards back ammo, but for the time being, it's a slight man advantage for Red Reserve. They fight on in through the front, and I feel like Red Reserve, they're always a strong team at fighting through the front of this winery lot hardpoint. See it time and time again, and there are those streaks that we were just mentioning. They're going to invest the artillery barrage.
And he's essentially trying to deny time from Red Reserve. Just give them a little bit of extra attempts at pushing, essentially, if you will. As it stands, no one in the hill, but, I mean, it's all good and well putting your artillery barrage down, but you have to break through. You have to win the gunfights. And note Scraps now actually playing relatively passive as well, because he's noticed, I'm actually going a little bit towards a streak here. Maybe we could get that back and turn the tides back in our favor.
Yeah, nice to have some streaks to respond to those of your opponent, as all eyes on Scraps here, but it's Joe inside the hardpoint, clears out 3. Scraps get the 4th as well. Now just 150 points away from the glide bomb. His teammates already got a head start in the rotation as well. So Scraps is going to go ahead and exit the winery lot, as now the attention is put forth over towards the parking lot.
And that's bitterly disappointing there for FaZe. So you had the early setup, but I mean, Red Reserve just ran straight through you, and Scraps is still on that streak. Bear in mind, 5 as it stands. 50 points will do, and does he know someone's there?
Nice read.
Beautiful, beautiful. And of course, the glide bomb now in play. If he wants to, he can maybe drop it early.
You also keep in mind, Zuma still has streaks of his own to work with, but as Scraps, 3 of his teammates fall, so he wants to definitely slow down here. Look at where his teammates are up on the map. He's just looking to provide some pressure, maybe influence his spawns as well. Here comes that glide bomb.
Yep, now he's going to have all the information he needs to give to his team. Plus, he managed to be able to find the pick on the hill as well. Still closer towards Tier 2 Street, the artillery barrage, and of course even maybe the 3rd, and there is Scraps on the flank. The double kill comes through. Attach and Priesta, no idea whatsoever. A fully streaked out Scraps, of course. Bear in mind, we still do have streaks on the side of FaZe. Zoomer hasn't invested too much outside of the artillery barrage, but the scrap time seems to be good to go over to Red Reserve. And FaZe don't want to give it up. Essentially a 1v1. It comes down to Zoomer versus Joe.
And I hear Scraps getting loud there on the stage, so he's letting his opponents know. And speaking of Zuma, he goes on what was an 8 or a 9 spree, was double positive for a moment in the game. Now he's just +5, so he's definitely slowing down a little bit, and that's allowed Red Reserve to maintain around this 40-point lead that they currently have. But also keep in mind, last time we were at this lookout post hardpoint, it was a strong start for FaZe. Despite being forced to spawn out on the map, they're able to lock down the majority of the time. Here, our screen back on Zuma still has that glide bomb and fire pilot, as you were mentioning, to work with.
Oh, wow, and actually Zuma loses that gunfight to Scraps, who ultimately does get traded out, but this is, again, good time for FaZe to bring themselves back into the game. Scraps, he's going to use his fighter pilot now. Will we see Zuma force his hand to potentially use his to deny time? Absolutely, you will. So a fighter traded for another fighter pilot. For Zuma, he's going to find 1. He's going to find 2. Will he ultimately find Rated as well? He gets all the information in the world, and there's still actually a player in the hill. No, that was Zero, and it's corner. Zero turns and burns attach. He also finds Priester as well. Red Reserve. That was a fantastic little hold there on that hill.
Absolutely, and it's small explosive plays like that from Zero where he can have an impact on this game despite being -6. He's got solid time inside the hardpoint, and those were crucial kills for him to get. Also keep in mind he had Mountain on there, so the fighter pilot didn't kill him, so he's also earning time for his team while that streak was in play.
Fantastic stuff from him. As it stands, we go into our 3rd rotation, 209 to 153 in favor of Red Reserve, but it is FaZe getting the early time. They're going to need to do essentially a full 60 here and control the spawns. But it's Zero once again. He's feeling confident. Not going to win that gunfight, though. It's Zuma that shuts him down.
Okay, this is a bit worrisome for Joe here because he has a chance to maybe flip the spawns. Fortunately for him, actually, he dies there. I never really like it, especially late in the hardpoint where teams actually flank around like through the radio tower and fight from that bottom half of the minimap, because you always want to hold those spawns in your favor as we look ahead to the next hardpoint.
And I want to point out, Zero actually just killed Zuma through the wall when he was about over 50% towards new streaks there. So a pretty important kill there for Zero to pick up. And as you can see, FaZe, they're spawning so deep here, Revan. This is going to be tough, especially if Red Reserve get the final 10 seconds as well. Looks as if maybe it will go over towards Red Reserve. You have an artillery barrage to use as well of your Scraps. Red Reserve have put themselves in such a prime position.
Oh, absolutely. Now the game plan is simple for Red Reserve. As soon as Scraps spawns in, he should call that artillery barrage, block off, you know, the entrance coming in from the field. As I'm talking about, that's exactly where it gets placed. This is going to force FaZe to funnel through the middle of the map. Now, keep in mind, like, if this was like the first Winery hardpoint, yeah, they want to fight through ammo. But look at the current situation of the game. Red Reserve only need 14 more points to close this out. FaZe can't really afford the time to give away to Red Reserve to fight around through the back like this, and they're not even finding the kills.
Zuma could be the last hope. He falls. You have What, 5 seconds now to touch the hill of your face.
That's it.
Joe pushes out, he's slaying, and that will be GG, map number 1. Red Reserve, take it. And you have to feel like the big swing of that map, considering how close it was 0 on parking lot. The fact he pulls out Mountain, he makes sure that the fighter pilot doesn't see him. He plays a cheeky little corner, turns and burns on one of the FaZe players, then gets a double when he connects with Priester. It gave them just such a comfortable swing there that after that, you know, you watch your teammate do that, you're not losing that one.
Yeah, I agree with your sentiment there, Benson. And also, you got to give a lot of credit to Scraps. Finishes 31 and 19 out of that map. Yep. And he's the guy who gets streaked out for the side of Red Reserve to answer those of Zuma. And speaking of Zuma, he goes on that one massive spree when he gets streaked out. But we didn't see much from him in the mid to late game of that map.
Yeah, that's really where you would have loved to have seen that pace just continue a little bit more. But, you know, we talk about FaZe and their hard points. I know, looking into this statistically at least, I think many would favor Red Reserve over FaZe, but it's the search and destroys, right? And I know before the match was going on, you were thinking statistically how the series layout could pan out. Is there any kind of outlying numbers when we look at the series layout?
Well, I can take a look. I have all the maps in front of me. So next up is going to be a London Docks search and destroy. The records, the percentage-wise is pretty even. You have Red Reserve, they're 7 and 6 though, so they have a lot more reps compared to FaZe's 3 and 3, so more experience, more reps. And that's typically like, you know, home map advantage for them. So maybe you favor them a little bit, but FaZe is such a scrappy team that you can't cat them out of any situation. It seems like, especially during that hard point, while they're getting outslayed through the majority of it, they still kept like a deficit of around 40 points. So there were moments where maybe they could have closed that gap, but they still were in it up until the very end.
They just always find a way of keeping it close. And you feel like heading into search and destroy, the one player we have to highlight is Replays. He's been fantastically clutch so far. You're in the losers bracket now. You need more of that magical kind of performances from him, especially against the likes of Red Reserve here. But, you know, if Red Reserve go 2-0 up, maybe I think our stage 2, or I should say our stage 1 champions could be in a lot of trouble.
And, you know, speaking of our stage 1 champions, you know, London Docks Search and Destroy, they've had some historical moments on that map. I know it's been brought up a lot, but Replays has had some phenomenal clutches as well as attach. And I know Jess had a chance to catch up with some of the players before this match. Jess, what's the word on the street?
Thanks, Revan. Well, yeah, I spoke with Joe from Red Reserve, and he's a man of few words, but he really knows what he's doing. He said, yeah, I think it's going to be an easy 3-0. I did ask him, you know, everybody is really expecting you guys to take the series and take it pretty easily. Does that affect you at all? He goes, oh, well, we already think that we're the best team in the game, so what everybody else thinks doesn't really matter to us. So, you know, obviously, as can be expected, they are absolutely filled with confidence. Now, on the side of FaZe, Replays spoke a little bit about their previous loss earlier today that took them down into the losers bracket. He said, well, we're trying not to think about that. We're trying to just kind of put it out of our minds and move on. It doesn't affect us at all, but going forward, this is going to be a tough match. And he said that he thinks that their fatal mistake that they usually make versus Red Reserve is letting Red get streaks, especially on Hardpoint. So that's their main focus this series, is kind of trying to shut down those streaks. But we'll see how the rest of the series goes. Ben Revan, back over to you.
Pretty ironic, of course. Yeah, we have to try and shut down the streaks, and you see streaks for Red Reserve. Of course, FaZe had some of their own there as well. But overall, excited for this second match, or second map, I should say. And a big picture as well, it's worth mentioning. If both the European teams do win their series later on today, we will have that Battle of the Twins, which I know so many people would love to see, I myself included.
Listen, nothing out there is better than a good old sibling rivalry. I'm not sure how many of you have grown up with siblings, but they're just nothing like it. You just can't really describe the feeling, especially in this type of environment. For
$500,000 on the line.
Yeah, a lot of money. You know, loser goes home, and then bragging rights, you know, essentially for the rest of their lives, at least until they match up again.
I think this, outside of maybe champs, right, would definitely be the biggest stage competing against each other, that's for sure. But that is, of course, assuming UNILAD wins later on and Red Reserve wins here. But we're by no means, you know, predicting that outcome just yet. We'll wait and see how this series starts to develop, because, as we said, FaZe Clan and their search and destroy, there has been something truly magical about it so far, in just terms of Replays, individual reads, I guess, is one of the best ways.
He's a genius.
His understanding of the game and understanding of the rounds in Search and Destroy is fantastic. I mean, there was a moment in Arden Forest earlier on where they're in the 2v1 and he threw the nade perfectly just to slow down the push so his teammate could defuse. Ultimately lost the gunfight, but it doesn't matter because his teammate defused the bomb. But here a look at our losers bracket. eUnited versus UNILAD will follow this game to close out. And of course, FaZe Clan versus Red Reserve, the match we're currently watching. For Europe, it could be a very, very interesting losers round 3.
Oh yeah, we all want to see that matchup. We've been waiting, since these two have split when they were both on that UNILAD
so
lineup. We've wanted to see this matchup for so long because I feel like both these players, Scraps and Wuskin, have improved a lot, since that split, and where clearly the results have followed.
It's weird because obviously when Scraps was back on that squad, he kind of left, and it's as if Wuskin just said, all right, well, it's my turn in the limelight. I'll gladly take over this kind of key-slaying role for the squad if you want, but it's worth mentioning everyone in UNILAD has been fantastic. And again, they make the roster change. We all think they're crazy, and they've come out and proved absolutely everybody wrong. And as for Red Reserve, another team change comes through from them, and look at how much better they've looked as well. Admittedly, a little shaky towards the end of the Pro League, but now they find themselves in a back-against-the-wall situation. Losers bracket matches, they simply have to win out.
Yeah, lots of pressure on both these teams to come in and perform. And, speaking about Search and Destroy in general between FaZe and Red Reserve, the percentages overall are pretty equal. I mean, you have FaZe, they're 20-10 since the start of stage 2. That's a 66.66 repeating, of course, percent
Thanks,
win
Matt.
rate there.
Just in case you weren't sure.
Red Reserve, I think they're right behind them at 20-11, which is 64% win rate. So very comparable. It should be a joy to watch both these guys go at it in the Search and Destroy game mode. And hopefully if it goes the distance, we'll be able to see 2 of them.
Well, as it stands, Red Reserve 1-0 up. But let's not forget, we still have the biggest event of the year still to come. August 17th through 19th, right here in Columbus, Ohio, at the Nationwide Arena. And there's a chance for one of you lucky viewers at home to win a potential chance to come and spectate. All you have to do is visit MLG.com, and you'll find all the information on the website there. But every time we see this graphic, we always talk about it. Champs is that event. If there's one event you want to try and get to, I fully recommend it be the World Championship. There's something about it. There really is. It isn't like any other event you'll ever attend.
Whether it's the prize pool or just the general atmosphere, the intensity that each player and each team bring to that specific event, there's just nothing like it, in Call of Duty. It all culminates, we play from event to event, moving into the Pro League. It all culminates into this final championship, and this is really what these guys play for at the start of the year, looking to the end. It's the biggest event of them all.
Yep. The one, right? You get your chance to join a pretty elite list of names of ring winners. We'll see who ultimately walks away with that. But, of course, before that, we have Stage 2 playoffs. And
that's where we are right now.
Sure is. And some interesting storylines starting to develop here as well. And I'm curious to see exactly what that losers round 3 matchup does look like. Already some casualties from the day. Echo Fox, Optic Gaming bow out of the event 7th and 8th place. Not what many would have expected there for at least Optic Gaming. But that was FaZe Clan, of course, in winners round 1 that put them straight down in a crazy game 5.
When it comes down to it, the competition from top to bottom is so close. I mean, all these teams are very good, especially when we talk about how late we are in the year. Like, there's just not a lot to figure out about this game award. You know about the Swans, you know about rotations. It's all about, who wants it more, who comes to play at the end of the day, and who shows up when it matters the most.
That's the key. When it matters the most, who does turn up? Of course, in Stage 1, it was FaZe Clan that went through a miracle losers bracket run from the very beginning, back against the wall the entire time, and they managed to win 2 best-of-5s as well in the grand final to ultimately be our reigning champs. So they're in familiar territory, of course. They're not hitting any panic buttons being down here in the losers bracket familiar territory all year, to be completely frank. But they're going up against a formidable opponent, and I know they have a ton of respect for the Red Reserve boys, seeing what they've achieved so far this year. But they're not going to be thinking about that at all here as they head into London Dock Search and Destroy. I don't want to say a must-win by any means for FaZe Clan, but it's one you'd love to see him just tie up this series.
Yep, absolutely. We would love to see this one go the distance. I mean, we have a knack of, watching all of the games that we cast go to Game 5, but you saw that stat on your screen just a moment before. Scraps, a 1.58 KD against playoff teams in Search and Destroy. It's 0 off the start, though, trading kills with Zuma, as typically that's how it plays out on London Dock Search and Destroy.
And that's the one fight in Search and Destroy that we always say, watch out for. Zuma Joe between these two teams. It's one you're going to see a lot of first engagements come through. As both players trying to feel themselves out, if you will. As it stands, 3v2, though, in favor of Red Reserve here round 1. And it is FaZe that needs to try and plant that bomb. Bruce has made his way over towards B, and this is a bold move. We'll see if it pays off. Oh, you see him? Gets the plant off. 1v3, and if there's a player you want in this situation, well, it's replays.
I remember when we were casting Red going up against Rise Nation to kick off the tournament, Red Reserve had a tough time dealing with this B bomb site plant and getting control of the water stairs. Meanwhile, the bomb's getting defused right in front of replays.
Is he going to shoot? Oh, that's so unfortunate. Oh, I thought for a minute maybe he hopped off the bomb. Somehow replay survives, but the 1v3 didn't really have the full line of sight of the bomb being defused there, and ultimately it's Red Reserve that take round 1 comfortably.
I mean, odds stacked against him in that situation. Try to maybe bleed out some time off the clock before he decided to commit to the challenge. But that's the use of late game utility in Search and Destroy. You toss down that smoke, and at the very least, it would bait replays out of his position because he has to check the bomb. So round one does go over to Red Reserve, and speaking of them, they're going to be on the offensive side. Looking through the X-ray vision, looks like Scraps has the sniper out.
It was pretty unsuccessful yesterday on London Docks Search and Destroy with the sniper rifle. We'll see if maybe he has a little more success today, as Zero could be drawn into the first fight of round number 2. Wisely backs away. Doesn't want to give away his life. Waiting for Scraps to just try and find some form of an opening. There's going to be replays down to the other side of the map playing so slow. Zuma needs to be careful because Rated is looking at that cross, and Rated ultimately finds one. Zuma is there to trade it out, and Joe's in hot pursuit of Zuma. He's going to get traded out as well from behind. It was attached that was there. Forces a 2v2 with 50 seconds still on the clock.
And look, whenever you see these even trades go down on the map in Search and Destroy, by the way, bye-bye replays, with those even trades will always favor the offensive team because you're spreading the defense thin. They have more area on the map to watch with less players, and now it's all down to Attach. A 1v2 situation for him, but fortunately, these Red Reserve players are spread out, but Attach, he's going to get shot in the back. 2 rounds played means 2 rounds won for Red Reserve.
A nice early start here to the Search and Destroy. He's got to keep that momentum rolling, though. Don't allow FaZe to really get a foothold here in London Docks Search. There's a look at the final kill that came from Zero. Ultimately, not much Attach can do when he's being shot in the back like that. But heading into round 3 now. Of course, sides flip, and curious to see what kind of strategy we get. We haven't seen a full-on A push yet. Admittedly, you know, Scrap sniping, trying to open things up. Yeah, only 2 rounds gone, but I love that smoke A push. I really do. But it's going to be a B push here from FaZe.
And this is almost essentially a blank counter from Red Reserve. The kill's starting to go in their favor as well as Zero finds first blood. Even though he's traded, Joe is there to bring the man advantage back in favor of Red. And now they have the crossfire set up, the angle's covered, and take a look at number 5. Joe's going to just cut off the rotation back to A.
And that's the key, right? He thought about pushing straight through and trying to just trade out the round. Instead, he wisely says, hold on a minute, this is 3v2, we have numbers. I'm going to watch the full rotation, the full flank all the way back. We have him essentially pinned in. There's nowhere realistically FaZe can go without at least winning a miraculous.
I want to say, like, hug the wall at the right moment, right?
Like that.
Or you just miss your shot. And look, that's the second time today we've seen Joe miss easy kills like that. He did it in a 1v1 against Saints when they were going up against Echo Fox. He had the cover behind the bomb as well and lost that.
I feel like the issue there was he saw Priester, and he was tracking Priester, and Replays just held that wall, made sure he had no idea where he was. And ultimately, Joe just kind of caught in 2 minds. But it does force a 2v2, and more importantly, FaZe of course decided to go all the way back to B. Scraps, 1 shot. Is he going to escape? No, he's not. Replays, another 1v1 situation for him. This time, it's against Rated. Bomb is being planted. Will Replays get to cover? He's going to be a little unfortunate there. He's going to run into a Rated who simply does not miss those shots. And 3-0 now. The advantage for Red Reserve.
Yeah, I was going to say, those are moments that, you know, Rated lives for, those 1v1 clutch moments just to assert his dominance. And speaking of Rated, I feel like he's also Mr. Game 5 as well. Every time I watch this guy play Game 5, he must average, you know, well over 10 kills. But let's speak about that Joe play one more time. I feel like that's a good example of how he's evolved as a player, you know, over the course of the year. If you put Joe in that same exact situation at, like, the first event of the year, he's 100% sprinting through the flank and trying to force those engagements. But this time around, he slows down, plays his position. Even though he misses the shot and doesn't find the kill, still that's the right play to make. Slow down, cut off the flank, and make sure that that option's no longer available for FaZe.
And you're just bleeding time off the clock at that point, forcing FaZe to make a play, and of course it was Replays that did it. Scrap still with the sniper rifle out though. As it stands, no first bloods for him, but he is sitting at 3-1. We'll see if he does find maybe a pick of water steps, but FaZe know he's going to snipe, right? So you have to respect it. Will he find the pick on Attach, though? It's Attach could be in trouble. Attach lands some good shots. Scraps forced to back away.
And fortunately, no one from FaZe pushed up inside the docks window, so that angle cut off. So Scraps could have gotten traded out from that spot.
I think Replays is a little afraid after he did it last time, right? Scraps found that small angle. As potentially Rated falls for first blood. He will. Priester with a good grenade just to find that final bit of damage he needed. So, advantage them.
Yeah, one thing to look out for is Red Reserve. When they match up against Rise Nation on this very map and mode, they had a lot of first bloods under their belt, but they still lost the game overall. I think they got like 7 or 8 first bloods, but still lost it in that many rounds. Anyways, in this round, man advantage in favor of FaZe. You still have Replays defending strong over towards the A bomb site. Joe gets caught being a little overly aggressive, but those are the timing plays that Red Reserve love to go for. If Joe finds the right timing there, he finds the replay. Speaking of replays, he falls by the hands of Scraps. So now all of a sudden we have ourselves a round, but only 15 seconds remaining. They have to go for the plant.
Scraps has just kept Zero alive there. Don't underestimate how important that truly was. Bomb, of course, is being planted 2v2. Priester, he's going to spot Scraps very, very soon. Bear in mind, Zuma wins the other fight. And that is a clean retake from FaZe Clan. And more importantly, win their first round here in the search and destroy, and they're just going to slow down that Red Reserve momentum.
Yeah, because there just wasn't a lot of time remaining. Scraps was trapped on the bomb after the plant. Zuma holds the window. Like, you're going to win that engagement 9 out of 10 times at least. And then they had the last player isolated over towards the docks. Good round win for FaZe, though. They're on the board. They stopped the bleeding for the time being. But now it's going to be Red Reserve entering a defensive round. We'll see what they have in store for us, because that's where they struggled against Rise.
This is where you really want to see that FaZe Clan momentum. Just get strung together a little bit, make it 2 in a row, put the pressure back on Red Reserve. And of course, you do have one player there relatively close to streaks. I believe it's Priester, who has bomb in hand as well. Can he try and make the play over towards B? It sends everyone kind of splitting, spreading across the map for FaZe as they look for first blood, and it's Priester himself that gets it at 0. That opens up the B site instantly. He should go for the plant as Joe finds a pick mid-map. If you're replays, you have to watch mid-gate here, surely, because you know that as bomb's going down, no cover for Priester, who was so close to streaks, forces the 2v2, and
Joe's hopping right on.
Joe just goes straight for it. Joe's dead here. Replays, he's not going to allow a Ninja Defuse to come through. Scraps now at the other side of the map, and guess what? If you're replays, you got another moment where you have to try and clutch up.
A 1v1. This time it's Scraps going against replays. And Scraps, he started this 1v1 down towards the bottom left-hand side, like over towards the crane, and he's going to wrap all the way around.
Very loud,
though. He's loud, though. His replay's going to hear him. Coming around on the back, doesn't check his corner.
Yeah.
Sloppy shots, but replays finishes up the kill. And really quick, just breaking down that round, you could clearly see how Red Reserve have adjusted their defensive round, stacking way over towards that A bomb site. It allows replays to push right through B, gain that forward position over towards the bus. Winds up with being what wins FaZe the round. So 2 rounds in a row here for FaZe.
And you have to feel Scraps had Mountain on in that situation.
Maybe.
He's probably getting that kill.
Or if he checks right instead of left, it's just one of those plays.
True. Very true. But that was what you wanted from FaZe Clan. A little bit of momentum, 2 rounds now in a row. Can you stretch it to 3? Obviously, it would have been great if Priester was able to stay alive in that situation, keep the streak alive. But no extra utility on the likes of FaZe Clan. Is now Red Reserve on the attack. It's going to be Rated leading the charge with a bomb. And of course, they've definitely targeted the B site once again.
Scraps puts the sniper away for this round, trying to bring some aggression through lights, and if he pushes on forward, he can find first blood first team. No! He loses the engagement with Priester, but the trade is there from Rated as the grenade connects. Speaking of Rated, he's on your screen now. Finds the follow-up kill into attach, but more trades back and forth between both these teams as it's all down to Joe.
And Joe with a sub is pinned. FaZe know exactly where he is. Replays should just check, tag him up. Zuma can hunt.
You're not getting out of that.
3 in a row for FaZe Clan. It was looking comfortable. Very comfortable for Red Reserve. But all of a sudden, the first bloods start changing a little bit. Priester with 2 in a row. Just a simple conclusion to that round.
And this is one example of what makes FaZe such a dangerous team to play against. They're able to switch things up at the flip of the switch, change the pace, and really make those mid-game adjustments. That is what allowed them to become our Stage 1 champions. This is why they're such a formidable team. It's tough for Red Reserve to track everything that's going on around the map because they could, like I said, FaZe switch things up from round to round. And that's a great constant that they have that I see other teams don't do. Because they use a frag grenade, they could stop this middle push from Joe just because Priester always puts a frag grenade at that entrance of fire.
And now all of a sudden, Attach kind of has a moment advantage. Doesn't look like he's going to push it just yet, but wisely just waiting, being very patient. And bomb is already being planted at B. Zero played it very passively. Zuma's going to force him to back away just to secure the plant, and now it just comes down to post-plant positioning. And FaZe look great. They have pretty much their entire back covered, so it's just going to come down to winning the fight from mid-map and winning the fight from this one.
And I brought it up a little bit earlier, but you could clearly see how Red Reserve have adjusted their defensive plays after playing against Rise Nation. And this round, it's all FaZe Clan. It's shaping up to be 4 rounds, 1 in a row for them.
And this was the issue on this map, if you remember, with Red Reserve on their search and destroy defensively at B. They played it so passively to the point where players were just walking in saying, all right, I have a 1v1. Sometimes I don't even have to fight the 1v1. Yeah. I'll just plant the bomb. And I think that's FaZe watching some of the VOD from yesterday's game saying, you know, we should have our way every round at B.
Yeah, absolutely. And you saw even the late round win condition for them. They had replays played all the way over towards the border side of the map. So even if they lost, players over towards light, over towards front cold, they still have that extra angle from the water stairs to rely on that to win the round.
And 2 key things to note. Replays close to streaks, and as well as that, Priester close to streaks. So both players with a good last round. Streaks would almost certainly secure this London Dock search and destroy and level up the playing field 1 map apiece. But it comes down to who is going to make the play. Zuma, he's going for the traditional Zuma Russian. Zuma flank shooting plays in the back, and that's going to be a double from him. Oh, wonderful stuff. And now he's close to streaks as well. This has gone from fantastic to terrible for Red Reserve. Scraps puts a stop to that. Still a 3v2 and Attach wisely doesn't want to commit. They know they have bumped down, and they should also have the information now on where both Red Reserve players are.
I wonder if Rated just didn't even react to the call out there. As Zuma gets first blood, you should immediately react and see the red dot on your minimap that there's somebody located inside barrels, but still a strong round here for FaZe. They have the man advantage. They're about to get the bomb under their control as Red Reserve. Zero picks it up, attaches force back a little bit.
Good jiggles.
Trying to move up through B-Dom, but he might get caught out here as it's going to be Priest kind of closing the gap in for mid.
So this is beautiful from replays because they have no idea he's there. And now, so close to streaks. Yeah. Zero ultimately does get traded out. You would have maybe liked, if you're a FaZe Clan fan, bomb to be planted so you could get the extra points for a defuse. But at this point, so late in the game, just take the round win, right? Put yourself now at that point.
And Red Reserve are one of the best teams at doing exactly that. They know that FaZe kind of want them to plant the bomb, so they're going to wait until it's a manageable position before they would go for that objective. I mean, they're one of the smartest teams at, counting out score and make sure that, if it was one of their own players that was close to streaks, they would feed them every point possibly available to try to kickstart them to earn some streaks. But this is what now, 5 rounds won in a row for FaZe? Like, Red Reserve are now falling flat in the mid game here.
And Attach played that very, very well as well, playing his live, jiggle peeking, consistently getting the information to the point where they knew where Red Reserve were pushing, and they had no other choice. Here, though, in round number 9, first blood again for Priesta. That's his 4th so far. Wonderful stuff from him, and Zero will level the playing field, but Priesta, he's hungry. He knows he's one shot. He's going to challenge all day, and Red Reserve are just dropping right in front of your eyes, rated for a 1v3 clutch. Replays should be coming in and cleaning up the kill. He does, and FaZe Clan cool, calm, and collected 6 rounds in a row in map 2.
Yeah, I mean, Red Reserve, they were looking like they were going to jump out to an early 2-0 lead as they won the first 3 rounds, playing that search and destroy, but ever since then, FaZe, they get their first round and don't look back. As you just said, 6 rounds in a row. Red Reserve had no response.
And it looked very similar to the Rise Nation match yesterday. It looked very, very similar indeed. It just felt as if FaZe kind of done their homework, done their research, and to your point, fantastic mid-round adjustments. They won 6 rounds in a row. We are all tied up here in this losers round 2 matchup, 1-1. When we come back, we're heading to capture the flag. It's lose and go home time here at Stage 2 playoffs. And on the main stage, our reigning champs FaZe Clan going toe-to-toe with Red Reserve. We're all tied up one map apiece as we head over to capture the flag. Curious to see ultimately who will give themselves the advantage. It's going to be a flag tower, Revan. Any interesting stats that stand out here?
This is once again a situation where Red Reserve, they just have more reps on this map on land. They're 6-9 overall on this one, while FaZe are 4-2. But it's also important to keep in mind that this is typically like a veto from FaZe, right? They like playing London Docks, they like playing Ardennes for CTF, and they're one of the only teams out there that has reps on all 3 CTF maps, so they can kind of tailor their vetoes depending on what team they're going up against.
Most definitely can. As game 3 underway, as you said, a flak tower search and destroy. Obviously, we saw Wuskin with a sniper rifle on flak early on. Well, his twin brother isn't afraid of doing it either. Scraps, what have you got to show early?
Nothing.
Well, absolutely nothing. As Zuma just sprints right at him, finds the pick, and Zuma will be traded out. And a good initial defensive hold from Red Reserve. They were put in a spot of bother early on by FaZe's aggression, and there's still one player there, bear in mind. It's going to be Priester.
They know he's there.
Do they? They do now.
Yeah, Zero spotted him. They should be able to clean up Priesta. And as they pick up the kill, number 7 on the other side of the map, it's Scraps as he swaps over to the sub. He's going to be in a 1v1 with replays, and this could also be a flag grab opportunity for Red Reserve as he just quickly repositions. That's going to allow him to group up with Joe here as they make a push over towards the FaZe flag.
Oh, and he actually does pull the flag, but doesn't get the angle to get away. Maybe a little bit premature.
And that's all
there.
for down.
And now the question is, how quickly can FaZe dictate the spawns? 2 players there. They're still going to spawn back flag. That's incredibly unfortunate, but flag is actually somehow, for a moment at least, got away. Waiting for it to be returned, but there's no one really from FaZe in a position to just pick that straight back up. And that's one of those examples where maybe slowing down, playing for a second wave of kills could be beneficial. Obviously, in your mind, you're thinking, if
you're thinking they're spawning gun.
They're spawning somewhere, right?
Yeah, you think they're going to spawn main gun in that situation. You can't fault FaZe for that push, and it was definitely an opportunity for them, but ultimately fortunate for spawns for the side of Red Reserve, allow them to stabilize on the defensive end. And now as they're finding kills, eyes now put and attention on towards Rated as he has the furthest progression up. And
you just looked at him. He just looked Zuma in the eyes. Zuma could make the play. Is he going to go for the flagpole? He's waiting for some kills to come through, but now all of a sudden,
and that's 3 points for Scraps. The return plus the kill on the flag carrier. He's got a good progression towards the glide bomb. So does Zero. So this might be early streaks for Red Reserve if they're able to capitalize on it.
Waiting so patiently. Just for the pick to come through, and Zero should have one here. Ooh. Never mind. It's attached. That cleans up, and Scraps now looking to extend his streak to 4. Some good shots onto Zuma, and honestly, he may just push it. Zuma, last man alive here as well. He's read it fantastically, but he isn't going to be able to find the pick just yet. Needs to stay alive, though. And bear in mind, only 11 bullets left, and he connects with the kill. Flag has been pulled as well. Scraps watching the cross. They know they have to kill him. Replays dedicate to the gunfight, but that flag is home sweet home. Joe dives it in. 1-0, Red Reserve.
But it's a 1v1 for Attach. He wins it against Joe. He's going to touch the Red Reserve flag, and now he's trying to get away with it, but the spawns come in for Red Reserve over towards their main gun. They, once again, get their return, and now Rated in the back of the base for FaZe. He does get cleaned up. FaZe stabilized here. They find 2 kills. And now it's going to be these last remaining members of Red Reserve acting as a checkpoint, trying to maintain this forward progression.
And Rated just wanted to buy time for Scraps, though, to make the aggressive push. And then you're fighting a 2v2 as opposed to the 1v2 and another 1v2 in quick succession. But sadly, didn't work out in their favor. They do have the 1-0 advantage, though. And again, Zero now, the player working towards some streaks. You'd love to see that extra utility come through for Red Reserve. For FaZe, though, we still have Attach. Being sneaky, bottom mid, he's going to find 1, finds 2. Could ultimately find the triple because he knows Zero's going to be over. He goes for the challenge. What? Are you kidding me? 3 in a row for him. Goes for the flagpole, but once again, he's pulling it straight towards Red Reserve. Oh, is he going to be fine? Nope. The kills come through. Joe shoots him in the back. That's unfortunate.
Talk about some massive kills for Joe to get in that situation. Finds 2. We'll get the flag return as well. As it just seems to be the case with these European teams. They always find a way to come up clutch on the defensive end. We saw it with UNILAD earlier against Optic Gaming. Now we're seeing it with their twin team Red Reserve.
Just when you put their backs against the wall in the 1v2s, it's about extending the time, right? Just bleeding the clock off your teammates' respawn so that they can then influence as well. Even if it's just a nade or a stun, anything at all, you just got to delay. And it is something that they are so good at. Capture the flag as, again, pressure coming in from FaZe Clan, but you need that pressure to be all together. This is the 3rd time in a row Attach has gone by himself to the flag. Yes, he made a miracle triple kill the last attempt, but once again, it's so easy for Red Reserve to say, all right, well, we're looking for one. Where is he? He's on the flag. Well, we know where he's going.
And the thing is, it's just not a consistent play to make, right? You can maybe make it happen, you know, 2, maybe 3 times during a game, but when you're constantly relying on something like that, like somebody sneak pass or somebody make a big play happen at the other side of the map, like, you're just not going to win games consistently because other teams are going to catch on, and then they just tunnel vision on that one condition. They're just like, well, just make sure we rotate back and kill the sneaker, and we win.
And the big problem with that is 2 out of the 3 times Attach has gone through that, you've had players from Red Reserve pushed up in FaZe's base. So ultimately, if everyone loses a gunfight, it's almost a guaranteed flag cap. As replays now left to try and go big for FaZe. He's going to drop. Spawn comes big gun. Is the flag going to be able to get out, though? You still have 20 seconds. If you're Red Reserve, you have time to be patient. No, Attach is overextending off spawn. Is he going to track back this time, though? He is. Flag has been pulled. Attach has to find this pick, and he will do. Beautifully done. Does he want to just extend the time a little bit before going for the return? He just went straight for it, and somehow replays managed to win that gunfight, but with 2 seconds left, no one's touching the flag. It's going to be 1-0 at the half in favor of Red Reserve.
Yep, it's a solid half overall from Red Reserve, although they might be counting their stars because there were certainly some moments there for FaZe to get some flag caps of their own on the board. You think of 2 good opportunities. One is when Attach gets that 3-piece, and 2 is when they have, you know, the majority of Red Reserve come up off respawn and they just get some fortunate spawns towards the back end of their base, and Joe gets that clutch 2-piece, the return right after. FaZe, they certainly have had those opportunities like I was mentioning, and they just want to carry that pace and keep up the tempo going to the second half. All things considered, you're only down by 1 flag.
Yeah, it's really not that much, and there's no streaks at play either.
Yep.
So it's relatively an easy one to come back into, at least. As Scraps once again pulls out the sniper rifle at the start of the second half. Really find a pick this time on the left-hand side. Of course, it was extremely unsuccessful in the first half. Zuma just ran at him and found the pick, but it's Zuma on the other side of the map that's already found the pick, and ultimately you're going to have the situation where players from Red Reserve may actually just rotate back a little early here. As Priesta trades out Rated. Zero knows there's one more player around here, but it's Attach who's just trying to buy time. Scraps ultimately does find a pick with the sniper. Is it enough, though, to slow down play? And the problem is, the longer he ironically stayed alive there, the worse of a position he actually put the team in.
So now he'll be able to swap over to that PPSH, but 3 members fall for Red Reserve. It's up to Radio on the defense end, and time again, they just come up clutch. He finds 2. That should relieve enough pressure for his teammates to spawn on up, and now they have a chance to maybe flip the switch on the other side of the map. It's going to be replays here, trying to maintain mid-map control for FaZe, but a lane open for Red Reserve if they decide to shove it open, but Replays finds 2 of his own. This offensive push could still be alive for FaZe.
Problem is, look at where his teammates are. Doesn't really have the support he needs just yet, so for Replays, just playing slow, playing his life, look for another pick to really apply the pressure on as he slow peeks over towards 0. 3 players from FaZe, and Attach is like, well, hold on a minute here. I could be in a real bit of trouble, but...
And see, they know.
They know he's somewhere, but they don't know exactly where he is. And the key here is how patient is Joe going to be to find where Attach is. He's basically directly above him.
Wow.
Attach actually wins the fight.
That's the worst timing for Joe.
Now all of a sudden, can he put pressure on the flag? Rated has backtracked all the way because he's so close to streaks. Honestly, I would have loved to have seen him wait to see the flag pulled so he could have get the kill on the flag carrier and the return to help towards the streak progression. But either way, he plays it safe.
Yeah, usually they do make small heads-up plays like that, but still you get the kill. Just trying to buy some breathing room now for your team. Can he come up clutch once again? Spots Replays in the back cross. Just 75 points will earn him at least the glide bomb. The kill is going to do it as well. Now looking for tier 2 and tier 3. They know Priesta here is still putting on some aggression. Solid shots, but you want to stay alive, the assist is going to help you out as well.
Yeah, most definitely will. 785 of 825, and if you're FaZe now, you have to seriously respect the fact that you know Rated is on that streak. You know he's probably at least got 1. It's a 7-kill streak as it stands, but Zuma, he's just going to run out straight towards the flag. That's an easy one for Rated. Fully streaked out now with a 1-0 lead. FaZe's job just got a little more difficult here.
Yeah, and Red Reserve have a lot of options to them at this moment in the game. You could either play the contained game and try to establish mid-map control, keep FaZe pinned back on their side of the map, or you could use these streaks to catalyze some offensive pressure. You know, when we talk about that second wave of kills, Flak Tower is one of the toughest maps to get it on. As you saw in the first half, FaZe had a really tough time getting the second wave because those spawns are usually always going to come right in the backside of the peg where you see FaZe spawning up right now.
You see Red Reserve just pushing up, waiting, just to find those picks to just keep that pressure on FaZe, keep them spawning deep and, of course, contained, which is the key. As Now all of a sudden, FaZe do break out. Rated still with full streaks. Obviously, he's going to save this for the perfect time to use it. Could even be aggressively. And if one of his teammates does get a flag out and they feel that the time is right, a 2-0 lead going into what may be the final 60 seconds could be massive, but now he has to use it defensively. The last one up. Honestly, he should get out of the glide bomb. Love that play. Turns around. This could be a great play from Rated, but ultimately the glide bomb doesn't even connect. That was the only play he had available.
Oh, the split spawn.
What is that? 0. He's going to find 1. 0.
No.
He's going to find the second. Zuma snaps onto him.
Oh, they're going to barrage.
It's on the flag. Now, if you're Zuma, do you wait? Bear in mind how close to streaks he is here.
And take a look at number 2. Attach is playing for the relay. So they're a man behind when it comes to, defending the flag carrier and trying to fend off this counter cap.
They've just gone straight through. It basically comes down to some big
Attach is wrapping.
Priesta needs to get
the pilot.
A couple. Fighter pilot comes through. Attach finds that pick. Is the flag going in? No, it's going to be returned. I can't believe it. Red Reserve have survived. They invest pretty much everything. The flag returned. But boy, oh boy, was that absolute chaos.
Oh, not pretty much everything, Ben. They invest every single streak that they had. So now, when we talk about mistakes to make, they have none to make. They can't rely on those streaks to bring them back. But Priest is starting to heat up for FaZe. I think he has 450 total points here. If he's maybe even able to earn a glide bomb, something could greatly help them out here on the offensive end.
You thought maybe again Attach was going to sneak through, but look at the minimap. 4 red arrows set up. Don't want to move at all. If you're FaZe, you have to take these fights. You got to take them quickly. If you're Priesta, yes, you're close to streaks, but there's 30 seconds left in the game. You cannot try and play around this right now, especially with 2 of your teammates dying. Ultimately, he is probably going to fall. He does. And with that wave of kills, Red Reserve could well have solidified map number 1.
Yeah, Red Reserve just have no incentive to move up on the map right now. They have the lead. That's enough for them. It's up to FaZe to dictate the pace and try to force this extra stoppage time. All they need is a touch on the flag, trying to bully out a lane, but they're met by 0. He mows down 2. Can he make it 3? He cannot, but Priest is the last one alive for FaZe. Their hopes lie with his death, and as he falls, it's going to be Red Reserve securing the win here on Flag Tower Capture Flag and taking the lead once again in this series.
Yeah, fantastic game of CTF there, especially towards the end. And it got very, very chaotic. Of course, you had FaZe pulling the flag. All of a sudden, a Red Reserve spawn just comes straight through, directly on top of Zuma, who's running the flag. He still wins that, which was impressive in itself. 0 ultimately falls. The flag ran all the way towards FaZe's base. The artillery barrage is used, then a fighter pilot as well. And you saw there was a moment where there was one FaZe player who basically saw all 4 players from Red Reserve overextend through the boardwalk side of the map.
Attach.
If he was able to pick up maybe 1, 2 kills, maybe that flag does go through. But in that situation, there's so much going on. You got to worry about the streaks. He ultimately found, I believe, 1 kill, but the other players that had overextended, they'd already got control of their base, and ultimately the return comes through.
Yeah, I think in that situation, he actually kills Rated as like he's called in the map in the fire pilot, and maybe if he kills Rated like a second early before that fire pilot actually gets called in, also something that could have helped relieve the pressure, but it's all maybes and what ifs at this point. The only thing that solidifies Red Reserve had the lead, but looking ahead towards this upcoming map, it should be Gibraltar Hardpoint. Red Reserve, they played this early against Echo Fox, they lost that. They're 0-5. They're winless on this map and mode. FaZe are only 1-2 on it, so not a whole lot of reps from them, but at least they have a victory. Red Reserve don't.
That's definitely the positive way of looking at it, right? But as you said, Gibraltar Hardpoint, the next map, map 4, and if it does go further, if it does go to 5, and Ardennes Forest, Search and Destroy, our Stage 1 champs, a map away from falling very, very short here at Stage 2. Red Reserve hang on for dear life at the end of that CTF. Some clutch plays just seals the deal of a very marginal 1 flag game. But as you said, at Gibraltar Hardpoint, not much data on both these 2 teams. Just comes down to what have FaZe got to show? How much more do they have in the tank?
And even though FaZe don't play this map all too often, I always bring up how they play because it's left such an impact on my mind because replays play so safe on the spawns, and they allow Zuma and Attach to just play without a leash on them, right? Just let them roam around the map and really put pressure on each lane wherever they want to. So really keep it on both those SMG players, but also because this is typically a 2AR map, you also have to put your eyes on, one, is Attach going to run that sub? Because we saw in that St. Marie, right? Priesta had that second assault rifle out. Is that the role he's going to be playing coming to this map? It's going to be something we have to keep our eyes on.
Of course, Zuma as well had a very good spell in that first hop.
He had a great sequence.
But that was really about it. You need a big performance from him now. I think you look at him going into a Gibraltar and you think, all right, maybe you can really ruffle the feathers of Red Reserve, and that's what you're going to need from FaZe to take this to a game 5. Otherwise, we could have another big casualty here at day 2 of Stage 2 playoffs.
Yeah, potentially another North American team falling to the hands of these Europeans, man. Coming onto our own soil, knocking out our own teams. The nerve of them.
It's funny because you go back, 3-4 years ago, and it was almost, as a European fan, you looked at it and you were afraid when you had these big matchups against some of the powerhouse North American teams. Seems this year, not really the case. It's more excitement more than anything else. You're like, all right, we're not playing each other? Great.
Take a look at this stat, something we love to bring up about Red Reserve. They win 40% of their hard points when outslayed. It's the best in the CWL throughout stage 2. And take a look at what happened when they do outslay their opponents like in map 1. And that's going to be a big thing for me as well coming to this map, because I think the ARs are more slay heavy on the side of Red Reserve, while on the side of FaZe, they're more positional and they're more spawn influencers.
And to talk about the outslayed kind of statistic, think back to the beginning of the year. What was the team that did it so well? Team Kaliber. It felt like every hard point they were getting outslayed, but they outplayed everyone they played. Really a wonderful squad to watch, and you kind of get that a little bit here with Red Reserve. And we start off Gibraltar on board with Red Reserve scraps. However, 2 early kills make that 3 early kills come through for FaZe Clan. But the key really here on Pit Center is going to be about, can you flip the spawns of your FaZe Clan and get a good setup ready for second hill?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can already see they have that in the back of their mind. As you see number 6, he's going to be playing around towards the turret side. So this is one way you could try to flip the spawns early on, just playing from that sidewalk position, find some easy kills over towards Stone, and then trying to play through Gold and making sure that the other team just doesn't spawn over towards the right-hand side.
It's worth mentioning, Rated was watched his kill cam for a few moments there before deciding to eventually spawn in. He'll find the pick, and Attach should still know there's a couple of players hunting him down. A couple of early seconds go over to FaZe Clan. Nothing really too much to brag about, though. 12 seconds. If the scrap time does go to Red Reserve, which you don't think it will, because FaZe are probably going to push straight through that hill to try and get a good setup. But Scraps is there at the first line of defense. There's 2. Can he find 3? Not going to happen. Red Reserve do fall. FaZe with a 2-point lead, but Red with a setup for second.
And there's a 3 assault rifle start for FaZe Clan, but it looks like Priesthood does swap over to that SMG. So eyes on Attach to perform toe-to-toe alongside Rated. Zero has the SMG out as well here for Red Reserve. And for the time being, Red Reserve, they have the spawns under their control, but along comes replays as he finds that kill on a Joe. It's going to open up a lane for FaZe to push on through, but spawns are still close here for Red.
That's the key. Now, ultimately, they
no
spawn
longer
out.
that's the case.
Joe is spawning out. Scraps has spawned out as well. And you see Scraps just makes the conscious decision, all right, let me just wrap back, play mid-map, see if we can just set up ready for the new hill. As 2 players actually do want to try and push this. There's still plenty of time, of course, 25 seconds. He wants a good go at this. Red Reserve are dedicating a lot of time here, but no one's actually in the hill here for FaZe. Zoomer was trying to juggle smartly so, but he's going to get shot in the side. It was Joe, ironically, the last man there that stops the streaks. But overall, you have to feel for both teams, really, a 50-50 split on second hill.
Yep, absolutely. And now as we look ahead towards the rotation, Red Reserve obviously in a better position, but that final push could have gotten scared for them. We've seen that it's not all too uncommon where, you know, you invest, you're like, there's like 35 seconds left. Let's just give it one more push. Then the spawn slip, and you're like, yeah, maybe it wasn't worth it to push for that scrap time, but things work out here for Red Reserve. They win the rotation over towards the Castle Road. They had the spawns under their control, and now it's up to FaZe to try to break on in.
Attach a little unlucky, he didn't clean up that kill. As they wait patiently for the right time to push this and try and break through. Preetha will open the door with a pick on Scraps, but ultimately Red Reserve, they're still going to spawn in because there's no one in a position to really influence the spawns just yet. However, everyone's falling on the hill. It's going to be contested for now. This is so difficult to do if you're FaZe, fighting from the front, and that's exactly why you saw replays try and push forward. And now Preetha, 1 kill away from streaks. He's put himself in a great position to really influence, but he has to wait for his teammates. He cannot make the solo play unless he's forced to. He is, in fact, forced to. There's the glide bomb. Stays alive as well. Play to his right-hand side. He's not going to expect it. Joe, again, just seems like the streak stopper right here for Red Reserve.
It's a nice throw to play for your team, an impactful kill to get at that. Still, a glide bomb could be useful later in the game, but right now I like FaZe's positioning and how they're set up for this new turret hardpoint. I love when teams, play towards that lighter side of the map. I feel like whenever you're trying to fight from cave, like you're forced to use such a narrow choke point. And yeah, that was a nice kill for Joe to get on the replays, open things up.
Oh, Zoomer and Zero in a pretty awkward smoky fight right there. As ultimately it's traded out, so it doesn't really matter too much. Early time in favor of FaZe, as Attach is just going to leave that one. 80-61, the current score in favor of Red Reserve, but it is FaZe now earning the time, and that's going to be 30 seconds of the initial 30 that they've earned. So, so far, so good for FaZe Clan.
Yeah, it's going to be Joe trying to play around the flank, but his spot has been given up. He missed some shots on the replays. Replays turns around, but kills going in favor of Red Reserve, and now they can collapse and pitch on into this hard point. They take out Attach, but here comes Priesthood from behind. Even though he falls, this remaining scrap time should go in favor of Red Reserve as they look to rebuild the lead they once had. As FaZe spawn out, they definitely want to give up the scrap time and fight for positioning as we start and look ahead towards a fresh rotation of hard points.
And now it's Rated turn to turn onto a streak. It's 5 in a row so far. Make that 6.
Capture points?
One more would do it. Turns around. Hello, Zuma. How you doing, buddy? Attach is actually there as well if you want full streaks. Oh, so close yet so far.
He's trying to get fancy right there. You see that?
Trying to style on him a little bit. Put some moves on FaZe. But a glide bomb now for both teams. It is worth mentioning. We'll see when both teams decide to ultimately use it. Priesta with a double, FaZe getting the early time, and as it stands at least, Red Reserve spawning out for second.
Yep, absolutely. And now they need to think ahead, maybe try to push out over towards the bridge side. And Priesta's actually maybe has a chance to overlap here. The glide bomb's going to get called in. It takes down Zuma. Now Priesta still with a chance to get streaked out and earn those tier 2 and tier 3 streaks that he wasn't able to get earlier on.
And this is such a difficult decision. Do you use the glide bomb or do you keep yourself in the gunfights? Well, that's going to be full streaks for Priesta. He makes the right call. There's one more player there in front of him. It's 0. He drops. Red Reserve spawning so far out. If you're FaZe Clan now with full streaks, you can almost play this one a little safe. Go back, try and force that spawn. Make sure you don't give it up, which is exactly what Replays is doing. He booked it over towards second hill, making sure that there was no flukiness to the spawns.
And FaZe are playing this map so extremely well. They play completely differently to the majority of the teams. Take a look at the scorelines that we're seeing here. There are 2 main ARs, Attach and Replays. They're not really playing for a lot of interactions and a lot of kills. They're playing mainly to lock down positions and let Zuma and Priesta just flat their opponents. And it's working out supremely well for them. You have Zuma 18 and 13. Priesta currently on a 9-3 at 19-11. The SMGs that showed up, the aggression, the pressure that they bring to the table, it's hard for Red Reserve to deal with.
And the key is how far pushed the SMGs actually are, right? You have this very defensive balance with your assault rifles and then just super aggressive SMGs trying to force Red Reserve to spawn so far away. As it stands, FaZe still in control of the hill, but barely. There are a couple of players from Red Reserve just trying to go for that final last-second push. Zuma, the first to rotate from FaZe Clan, and now the big question is, where is that player going to spawn? 0 still spawns at the back.
But because he spawns there instead of cave, he should know something's up. Typically, if there's no pressure in the back, when we're talking about the rotation from second to third, you'll spawn where he's positioned now, inside cave, and Zuma's just looking to stay alive.
Stay alive, let Priesta use streaks when his teammates get far pushed, right? If they can get over towards Castle side,
have no idea.
Then the streak's going to come through. This is Zuma's time to potentially spring into life. He knows now where 2 players are. The kill-rated mid-map, that opens up that lane. This is potentially a perfect retake from FaZe Clan, but Zuma has to win the gunfights. Only 1, and Red Reserve still spawn in.
Maybe a missed opportunity there for FaZe, but Attach is going to try to follow it up with a pinch around the back, influencing the spawns for the time being for sure. As you see, it's going to be a bit of a pinch setup as FaZe start to spawn out. Now look at where Red Reserve are spawning. FaZe have extended on out through the Hardpoint, but right now they're not getting time. Red Reserve are looking to bring it back. Scraps is able to find 2. Attach is there to shut him down, but he's quickly traded out. They regain control of the spawns, and now Zero's in such a deadly position.
And Red Reserve have done so well just to keep control of that Hardpoint for as long as they have, despite consistent pressure from FaZe Clan in terms of the spawns. However, Priesta still does have that fighter pilot and artillery barrage. Bear that in mind. After this scrap time comes through, it's going to be Red Reserve with the lead. But boy, oh boy, is it a small one. Around about 2 points. At 152, if it ticks to 150, you could not ask for a closer game at Hardpoint Gibraltar.
Yeah, now it's going to be a tough decision on when you want to decide to invest these streaks, because as it stands, the game is so close. So on one end of the spectrum, you're like, maybe we can use these streaks to try to build a lead. But how many times have we seen the game on Gibraltar go down, late game, second Hardpoint to third Hardpoint rotation, having to use that artillery barrage to maybe deny time? So many situations and applications for them.
It all comes down to whether they can control the spawns from first to second.
Yeah.
If they do that, you have yourself a kind of cushion, if nothing else. If you lose control of it, you have a fighter pilot to help you out, maybe even an artillery barrage as well. That's worst case scenario. As it stands, though, still here on turret, 20 seconds left. FaZe had the early time, but Red Reserve don't give up. And note, number 8 on the minimap, it's Priesta. He's behind enemy lines, and again, in a good position to just manipulate those spawns. 2 players from Red Reserve spawn back here. Priesta snuck behind them, and now you see those red arrows. They need to find Priesta. They need to kill him.
It's such a close, contested game between both these teams. Just 10 points at this moment in time separating both of them. Of course, we've highlighted the streaks from Priesta that are still available as he's just looking to roam around. Him and Zuma have been causing havoc all over this map. Just look at their scorelines that they still bring to the table. Attach and Replays, all they need to do is control the spawns.
It's all basically down to Priesta once again as he tracks back. He should maybe even get shot in the back, because look at Joe. Joe now taking matters into his own hands to control the spawns. And as Attach spawns in, he should know that there's one player from Red Reserve behind based off where he spawns, and they may actually see each other. Did he get spotted? I think he did, judging by the fact that the players are basically hunting Joe down.
You see he's gone over towards the shed, but unable to find the angle. Inside the Hardpoint, it's still FaZe with control for the moment. They're finding the kills as well. And now, in this situation, you're about to see one FaZe player back on up and make sure that they secure the spawns going into the second, especially with 20 seconds remaining.
You have to with 20, and it's going to be replaced. It slowly backs away. He's going to watch Bridge, as well as that Attached sprints all the way back. They still have the spawns, and Priesta is still going off inside the hill. Could potentially get his 3rd glide bomb of the game. He drops. You have around about a 20-second cushion here in terms of points. You have the spawns for seconds, and you have streaks. FaZe Clan, you just need the continuous structured play style. They're going to invest the fighter pilot straight away. That's going to give them a big, big point lead now. this is looking great for them to extend to a game.
Also gives him so much breathing room on the map, and this is the exact situation we were talking about. But here comes Scratch from behind. He fights, still looking for the third. Cannot find it. Priest is staying alive. Secures the spawns for FaZe as well. But it's Red Reserve inside the Hardpoint trying to claw and climb their way back into this game.
And now FaZe are spawning out over towards cave side. They have to sprint over towards the hill.
Don't use the artillery. Do not use the artillery here. There's no point to do it. Save it for if you absolutely need it in these future hardpoints.
And you have Attach who's already rotated towards New, so now you have a position where Red Reserve, it looked as if almost it was going to be GG in a game 5, but they survive in Zuma.
This might be bad for FaZe, though. If Zuma stays alive here and Red Reserve find kills in transition, and there's a chance for maybe FaZe to spawn out. But yes, number 3, playing for spawns.
They should know.
Has to stay alive.
They should know.
Has to stay alive. He's in the exact same situation that Zuma was in not too long ago.
Oh, this could be it right here for FaZe. Kind of, they do not.
How close is Joe to streaks? 1 kill away. This might be the game if Joe could get these streaks.
If he gets streaks and all of a sudden spawns are influenced by 0-0, he's just going to go, though. He doesn't have time to waste.
Oh!
He just find one, gets it, Attach will fall. Keep your eye on the kill feed. Does Joe get a kill? No, he doesn't. No streaks, and there's still an artillery barrage, but Red Reserve, they're fighting.
Now you have to use
behind.
it. Now you have to use the artillery. This is what you saved it for. That's fine. FaZe is still in a manageable position. The artillery gets called in. Now Red Reserve, they're just trying to prone on the outskirts of the artillery, trying to get time in their favor. These are massive kills for both teams, and an influencer spot in the game. It's Joe to step up. He finds 3 Scratch trying to maintain forward position, but no one getting time right now.
And the key is Red Reserve can no longer win on this hill. We will see one more hard point at least as Attach finds the pick on the Scraps, but FaZe, no, hold on a minute. We can still try and put this game to bed. As finally, no, they cannot no
0
longer.
for streaks?
Red Reserve, they're going to take the lead. A game which FaZe had full control on going to the 3rd rotation.
What a play.
Suddenly, spirals out of control. It's 0 again. Bear that in mind, he did the exact same thing in the hill prior. He's going to do it again. Will it work out? That's the question. An easy kill. An easy double for 0. Will he find the triple? Yes, he will.
Give him the points. Give him the capture time. The kill will help.
It's not even going to matter. He has the glide bomb. Red Reserve, I can't believe you've done it like this. Gibraltar, it looked like FaZe had full control. The Stage 1 champions are going home.
And what a way to finish out that game. 0 making some massive plays happen for his team, and Joe coming up clutch time and time again. Despite Priest are going up massive sprees and earning those streaks, it's Red Reserve who closed it out in 4 games.
2 hard points in a row. 0 makes the play. The very, very intelligent, high IQ, controlled play, which allows just the spawns to go completely their way. Let's not forget, FaZe were in a fantastic position going into that 3rd rotation. They controlled the spawns to seconds. They still had an artillery barrage as well, and they were not able to close it out. They needed around about 30 points. That was it, Revan. And they just weren't able to do it. Red Reserve fighting from behind the whole time.
I have to talk about that sequence from 0 one more time. Not only is he the guy who sneaks through cave, plays in the back to influence the spawns for that Castle Road hardpoint, he then takes the initiative, right? Going into that turret hardpoint, he pushes across the bridge, goes all the way around through jail and in the ladder building, blocks the backside spawns from FaZe, because that's the side of the map they want to fight from. From the truck side, you have more area to work with, and then you force the other team to funnel through cave. And as 0 finds those 2 kills, his teammates then surge on in through the sidewalk, through cave. They take control of the hardpoint and close out the game from there. It was a phenomenal ending sequence from 0.
Unbelievable from him, and of course Red Reserve as a whole. So essentially, if you're looking forward to maybe a Wuskins versus Scrap fight, well, Red Reserve did their part. Will UNILAD do it as well? Of course, that's the final game of the day. We'll see if that will be the losers round 3 game, which I would love to see. I think it'd be highly entertaining to see those 2 go toe-to-toe. But again, if you're Red Reserve, you're probably bitterly disappointed with how yesterday went. Now all of a sudden you're getting a little bit of momentum back. I wouldn't write them out just yet. Speaking of Red Reserve, we have Jess with Scraps for our PlayStation Instant Reaction.
So close to the 3-0 that Joe and I'm sure you were hoping for. What went wrong on that SMD?
Yeah, we went 3-0 up and we knew what they were going to do every round, but it just wasn't working. We was just giving them rounds, giving them picks, and it was all went their way, and they ended up winning 6 rounds straight, so just unlucky, really.
Definitely unlucky. Earlier, Joe said that you guys actually play better in the losers bracket. Why is that?
I think coming into this tournament, I think we just know we're better than everybody else. We hasn't looked their best, so I think going into that series, everybody was like, we're going to smoke these, we're going to 3-0 them. Whereas like when we lose, everybody goes back, everyone's annoyed, and everybody comes back the next day and thinks, watch what happens now, and we smoke everyone.
Well, a win's a win. Finally, if UNILAD are able to defeat eUnited coming up, then tomorrow you'll be facing UNILAD. How would you feel facing off against your own brother?
I think it'll be really good. Obviously, everybody wants to see it. I want it to happen. He wants it to happen. So I hope he wins tonight. Just for the fact of I want him to beat eUnited. I want him to keep on pushing. And then obviously I want to play him. So I'm looking forward to it.
a lot of us definitely want to see that happen as well. Well, thank you so much for the interview. This has been your PlayStation Instant Reaction. We'll be right back after this quick break.
The Stage 1 champions just got obliterated by Red Reserve. No longer are they going to be able to keep the throne. Who is going to take the Stage 2 playoffs? We are getting close. And to talk about everything that just went down that last series, of course, we got Nameless here, and now we got Trey. We got Zero right here to talk about the action. Dude, I'm going to be completely honest. I want to start off here. We've known each other for a little while now, and I've never seen you look more stressed in a tournament. What is it about this tournament that's just kind of has you on edge?
I wouldn't say I'm stressed about a tournament. I'm just more stressed at like the plays we're making. We're just making silly mistakes, and it's costing us. Like in that S&D, went 3-0 up and then just crumbled 6-3. Like we're just making silly mistakes, all that call outs, and it's stressful, but we're getting through it.
I mean, you're still alive. You're still alive. But ultimately, I feel like there is like a little bit of a difference so far in this tournament compared to you guys at a few other tournaments. Do you still feel pretty confident about taking the whole thing down?
Oh yeah, 100%. If you look at who we played first, played Rise.
Yeah, that's the best team in the game.
Well, you have to say the best team in the game, regardless of their league performance. It's just we played Rise first game, we came out flat. That's just how it happened, and yeah, you just got to get on with the tournament and then see where you get from there.
All right, well, let's talk about how you were able to take down FaZe. Nameless, in particular, anything jump off the page to you?
I mean, I just got to go back to that last map right there. In the end, this guy right here makes a phenomenal play. He goes all the way around, pinches in the final moments for that three-piece, and then you get that glide bomb, use it to seal the deal. I mean, those are the type of plays you need to make to beat these teams here in playoffs. Like right there, that was a heads-up play. What were the comms like during that moment?
I mean, before that, on the, I think like we call it P3, like the green truck hill, I made a play going through cave, like 20 seconds left as well. Yep. To secure these spawns here. As you see, I'm right there on the map at the back, number 3. Get told to make a kill. I get a kill here, and then we get
scary.
He soundboarded me.
It got a little bit scary, but right here, you get that kill, which is exactly what you need to do to open it up for your team. You back up and you get that 2-piece, and that's going to allow you guys to get like a big chunk of time here. But where it got really crazy was like, they can still potentially win on this hill, so you got to kind of fight it. But you also have to think about rotation because, you know, if they get that initial time right there, they kill one wave, it's game over. So I just think it's crazy how this boils down because most of the time it gets really hairy here for teams in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, our comms were really good here, by the way. Like, small talk and everything was really good. I don't know if... Yeah, I punched him.
Here it is.
This is the play I made right here. 15 seconds left. I don't think they were expecting me to be this fast. I see him going gold right here, so I know I got perfect timing.
You have airborne as well, so that's something
I'm rapid. I am cracked. I am running straight to ladder. And I know that when he ran in gold, I've literally got 3 kills around the map.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I went for this guy first because he can get kills in the hill. And then I killed this guy. And then I was like, I'll run out a ladder and see if I can do it. And then their communication wasn't very good. And then...
Yeah, so right there, that was a really big heads-up play, turning around and picking up those spawners because they're going to spawn there in that cliff area. You turn on, you get that kill to pick up the glide bomb, and that just seals the deal because they have to come through mid and cave at this point. The closest player gets cut down, and then right there, if there was another one, you would have killed him with the glide bomb. All around, you just sealed that game. That was a phenomenal play.
Pretty easy to call that one. The play of the game presented by Scuff. Absolutely beautiful stuff to actually seal the deal there. 3-1. We're going to see Red Reserve move on, and now... we might have a battle of the EU teams. We're going to find out after this next series whether or not that is going to be the case. Do you think that they're, out of those 2 teams that you may potentially play, do you think you have a better matchup against either of them?
I say we probably match up better against eUnited. They have like 2 crazy subs, like just running at you, and it's really good for Reese. And then you got UNILAD that match up really well against us just because of the players that they are and the players that we are. So, I mean, everyone wants us to play UNILAD.
I do.
I'd prefer playing eUnited because we match up better. But
cool story. And ultimately, I feel like there's also a little bit of... it feels probably good for you guys knowing that if you do have that matchup, at least one team from the EU gets to move on. Definitely. Do you care about that at all? Or?
I mean, I like the guys on UNILAD, but... let's be honest, everyone's here for themselves. Everyone's trying to make their money, make their mark at this event. So if I'm out, I root, but I'm not like, I'm so salty that I'm out. So I'm just going to go hard and then see where it gets us.
I haven't really asked you that much. I feel like I haven't had an opportunity to really talk to you about it, like how the dynamic on the team really has been. I feel like I have hyped up the fact that I feel like the chemistry between you and Scraps is probably really good. Like I feel like he's probably the gas that you need. Is that the case?
Our apartment is just vibes. Like, he said, he was like, one time he's like, "Dad, do you want to go to the shop?" I was like, "Yeah." And then he was like, "Oh, I can't bother going, I'm just chilling." And then I came back, I supplied him with the goods. I got him Pringles, I got him like bread, stuff like that. Like
little things.
But like, I know he'd do that for me as well. So that's like, we just got to keep the vibes going. That's what I'm saying.
Scraps looks like he loves Pringles. I feel like Scraps eats non-stop Pringles.
I bought 2 packages